Today we're going to look at a whole bunch of fabulous artwork I got for $20. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to look at some fabulous pieces of artwork that I was able to purchase for 20 bucks by digging in and finding the source myself. So I was lucky enough to find some items that used to belong to a priest. A church was torn down over 100 years ago, but the building that stood as the rectory was still there. It had been used for a warehouse and all kinds of things. The whole aspect of what the building was has long since been forgotten. Now, inside there was still parts of the residence and all sorts of things stuffed in the building. I was lucky enough to get some very fine 1880s-ish religious artwork here, some religious pieces of fine quality craftsmanship here. They're actually die cuts on top of it. So there's little tiny holes all the way around the edges, as you can see. Just fabulous pieces, and these are some of the plain ones as well. 20 bucks for the whole lot is what I paid for these. Told you where I got them from. There's other places like this which I've been able to get into before too, so it's not some one-off situation. You might have to dig, you might have to study some history and dig into them, but they're really nice cards. Again, filigree, die cut around the edges, fabulous manger scene, baby Jesus, Mary, the three wise men. Every one of these I should at least get 25 bucks. I mean, these are just spectacular. Perfect time for Christmas. This is literally one of the best times. Love the palm trees in there, the whole works. These are just spectacular pieces, as you can see. Now, some of these are for saints. There's St. Joseph. Fabulous pieces here. Some have writing on the back. Angels will sell these sorts of things. Let's get to some of the better ones here. Obviously, all of these are really spectacular. This is probably the nicest collection of these I ever got. And there's at least $1,000 worth or better, probably close to $1,500 worth of these I have purchased. Just fabulous pieces here. Let's speed up a little bit because I got quite a few of these. Again, they're just spectacular pieces of Victorian 1880s-ish artwork. Lovely gilt. Most of these were made in France. Some came from Italy. There's a few that are from Dresden, Germany, Bavaria area. Again, these are all 1880s. They don't make them like this. I mean, just the quality alone, the die cuts, the edges, the whole works. I mean, these are just spectacular. Now, you don't have to be part of this religion to actually appreciate the fine quality. I mean, these are just spectacular. Every little aspect of it. Like this one here. This one should do extremely well. This one here should get me at least 50 bucks, probably closer to 75, maybe even $100, especially with the stars, the gilt stars in the sky there. I think you can kind of see them there. Spectacular pieces. Same here, another one. These are all so closely tied to the time of year it is now that if I get these up right away, I should do extremely well. Now, this is just a spectacular one. If you can see, there's actually paper lace. This is all cut out back in the day on a machine. Little tiny cutouts all the way around it, all the way around here. Just spectacular piece. Most of these sorts I would put $57.50 or higher. Another fine, spectacular one with a separate border around it, actually. Again, most of those were saints. Another spectacular one. Man, the paper lace is just fabulous work. It took a lot of energy. It was an expensive process. This is only like the top-notch, best ones. As I said, this came from a pastor, a priest, and they would have had some of the finest quality ones to give out or to, possess for the church itself. And I mean, just the work itself is just spectacular. Most of these bigger ones are $57.50 is what I will get out of them. Got to be a little careful with some of these. These are bookmarks too. These would go in a Bible or religious piece. Sacred Heart, excellent piece here. This one again, $34.50 or higher. Mary with the Sacred Heart, again, $34.50, probably close to $57 on any one of these bookmark ones here would be my guess. Anything with angels does extremely well. St. Anna, I mean, they're just spectacular ones here. Here's a couple plain ones, actually, but this one is just fabulous as well. This has some fabulous gilt on there as well, as does this one. Glorious in Excelsis Deo, so that's an interesting one there too. Just some spectacular ones all the way around. Hopefully you can appreciate those. Now let me show you some of the best ones in here, and then I'll show you just a few other ones besides that in just a minute here. Now these are pure paper lace with engravings in the center, and you can feel them. These are actually true, full-fledged engraved images on this. Now, I'm not sure if the design work was punched in later. Some of them have like a prayer, a first communion on the back. This would have been handed out at that point, so it was a very important step for young kids. But this is just fabulous. This one's probably $57.50 or higher, any of these sort. Again, because it is from a First Communion, I can tie it more directly to something more appropriate, more expensive, I should say. A lot of these are the same basic aspect. You can see the massive amount. Just a real nice one here. This one's Paris. Someone has written all the way around the back. I can't see the date. Looks like a June 77. So this one's from 1877. Most of this collection is 70s, 1870s through the 1880s. That's most of it. These are fairly early. Some of these type date back to the 1860s. I've sold some of these for $95 a piece. All of these with the backs and like prayer, they're like remembratives and things like that. Baby Jesus, the angels. This one has a maker, another Paris one. It's got a plate information on it. You can feel the ink, the whole works. Just a spectacular set of engraved paper lace devotional pieces. Really, really nice ones, too. And many of them are written with English on the back, which is what you want because they'll sell more for more money. Again, here's another one with a date, 1873, so you can kind of judge on scarcity of these. The church that these came out of was founded in like the 1840s, and then it was abandoned in like, I don't know, 1910-ish. It was torn down around the 20s or so. So these are just spectacular examples. Again, I almost never run into these, especially where they're not damaged like this, with original engraved images on them. Again, most of these are probably 1870s on this lot here. A little bit of damage on this one, but not too bad. Missing a little piece there. In fact, it looks like it's on the back. Sometimes you can repair those, but I'm going to just be a little careful with it and then stick it back over there. It has a little bit of staining from something sitting on it, but again, these are just fabulous pieces here. Again, I do extremely well. Now here's Pope Leo XIII. He was actually the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church in the 1870s all the way up to 1903, I believe. This is just a spectacular piece, as you can see here. Now here's another very interesting piece. Now I'm assuming these are all plants from Jerusalem that were glued on here to make this scene. Really, really nice. I'm not sure the name of this, but there's actually a name for using plants as imagery, and I can't escapes me at this point, but it's very finely done. That's a plant that's been carefully pasted down there, as is the shoots, the ground cover, and the cross itself. Needs a little dab of glue, but other than that, that's a spectacular piece. And just a few more, just to give you an idea here. Again, I should get at least $1,000 back out of these, just because they're so early. They're nice, lots of gilt on them. Dresden, it looks like, as well, too. So these are just spectacular ones. Some of these look like they belong in a series, like a devotional set for the Virgin Mary, Madonna, St. Anne's, and that one. Just some spectacular cards. Knowing a little the history about this is always helpful too, but if you pass up something like this and not realize it, you're going to be kicking yourself because there is a lot of value. Some of these I'll probably sell in a lot for, say, I don't know, $70 for a couple of them or something, $57 for a couple of them, something like that. But you can just see the sheer quality here. These are Paris as well. Most of these, again, 1870s, 1880s, I would say, just by the designs and what the rest of them are dated on. Now, I haven't seen one dated 1880s yet. Most of them are all 1870s, but I wouldn't doubt that these date into that range as well. Just some spectacular pieces. You just never run into them. And if you can see the color, how bright and beautiful these still are, just excellent examples of this. So this would be something you'd always want to be looking at. If you ever see a church sale, that's a good place to find these. Excellent Christmas one here. Almost looks like Christmas trees, rays. This one should do, again, $34 to $57.50. Same with this one right here, up to $57.50. This one $34.50. This one's just probably 25, 27 bucks. Same with this one. Even this one's very nice, actually. It's kind of oddball with the small child, the size of the characters versus Jesus on the cross. Just a really interesting one here. Now, many people won't think these carry any value, or they won't know the difference between the newer ones and the older ones. The older ones are obviously what you want, and these are the original, real deal ones. These from 1910 or before are usually what you want. Anything past 1910, I don't pay very much for at all, and I'll have to list a lot of those in bulk. But these are just spectacular images. Hopefully that gives you a little insight on these sorts of things. Knowing the difference in age is obviously key. If they're newer, obviously they won't be worth as much. So just be careful when you're out there buying these. If you don't know what you're getting, don't spend very much money on them. The money is there if you get the right ones. This lot here, as I said, I'll probably get close to $1,000, $1,500 back out of these. They may not look like much. They're just paper. Again, but the value is there. People collect these like mad. Devotional items in general. There's people who just collect this lace paper with engraved images on them. This style, this type of item goes back to like 1850s or so even, maybe even earlier than that. They're highly sought after. They're fairly scarce. They do show up at places like old rectories and things like that, convents. I've also run into these at antique stores and thrift stores, believe it or not. So they are out there. There's still places to find these. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
There's nothing ever to do around the cave. So I
Poke a bone. Swing it up and poke the bones. Poke a bone.
play poke-a-bone.
Once every million years or so comes a toy of classic fun. Poke-a-bone from Whammo.
The poke chop. Going fishing.
Poke-a-bone. Can you do it?
Hey, you made a bone run.
Poke-a-bone.
Catch 'em one at a time. Or if you're an expert, do around the arm bone. Poke a bone is even fun to wear. Poke a bone.
Got it.
Poke-a-bone. Poke-a-bone.
From Whammo.